Hello and welcome back to another exciting episode of Zero to Launch, the official podcast of System.io. We're excited that you are here today with us. We have just a wonderful guest, one that is perhaps familiar to you and to your audience. I know we've talked about him much inside of the System.io community, and I know that he's done some webinars with us, and so we are just privileged, really, to have Igor with us. Igor, thanks so much for joining us today.
Oh, my pleasure, man. I'm always happy to be here. I'm happy to chat with like-minded folk, and to be honest with you, these calls or interviews or chats, they're just the most fun. It's really, I can just talk about marketing and make money online for hours. So it's just the kind of stuff that you just don't, you don't have to invite me for it. I'll just come look you up and be like, hey, you want to talk? Because it's just been my passion for many, many years.
Absolutely. So what we love to do with our guests is just kind of get a sense of where they're coming from. So why don't you, if you don't mind, just give us a little bit of your background and perhaps, maybe what are some of the things that you're working on right now?
Yeah. I was coming from a Jewish Ukrainian family. I was brought up with a very big emphasis on education. So my mom was a music teacher. My dad was a mechanical engineer. And he also served in the Red Army, because back when he was, serving, it was still the Red Army. It was before the wall came down. Sure. So I was brought up and I was pretty much told, just study well, just get good grades and don't worry about anything else. And that's exactly what I've done for many, many years. And then my family moved to Israel from Ukraine because the situation in Ukraine was getting really difficult. And we kind of saw a way out, I guess. And what's funny is that nobody warned me about it either. I was just playing one day in the yard, and all of a sudden I see a huge bus come into the neighborhood. And it was like really narrow, so he really had to squeeze in. And it was one of these more, modern buses, and it had a TV inside. And just for me, that was like a spaceship. So it comes in and parks next to the entrance to our building. And then, anytime my mom, needed me for anything, like she'd call me from a fifth story window. So the window opens up and my mom's like, Igor. And, I run upstairs and she's like, okay, you need to get dressed, here, change clothes because we're going to Israel.
Wow.
It's like, what? So I'm like 11 years old at the time. And,
wow.
and that was the last day that I've been in Ukraine. I haven't visited since. Pretty much hopped on that bus, then drove to the airport about 3 hours, and then we hopped on a plane. And by 6 a.m. the next day, I was in Israel. I exited the Ben Gurion airport in Tel Aviv. It was really hot and humid, very different from the kind of climate I'm used to in Ukraine. And then from that point forward, I lived in Israel. I grew up in Israel. All of my adulthood was in Israel. I met my wife there. My first child was born there. I became a proper Israeli. And, as I was growing up, my mindset stayed the same. Go to school, study well, and everything's going to be okay. And so because my dad was a military man, he enrolled me into the Air Force Academy, the Israeli Air Force Academy, where I spent a long time just being like this little soldier or a soldier lookalike, if you will. It was basically a school. But you had to wear like proper uniform, and you had to abide by all the disciplinary rules of a regular army man and army hierarchy, right? So we didn't have teachers; we had like officers teaching us. Like everybody wore the uniform.
Wow.
Yeah. So very quickly, I learned how to clean. I could mop the floor real well, but also lots of stuff about the discipline. I knew how to lace up my boots and how to wear my it's called a kumta. So it was like a beret, if you will. And like very quickly you grew up, right? And that's all while being an immigrant in a brand new country where the language is backwards. It's like right to left instead of left to right. And something happened as I was growing up. I started seeing the guys who graduated this academy before me, like 3 years before me. And I was looking at basically this future version of myself, because they were on the same path as I was. And at the age of 24, 25, 28, they were still living with their parents. They were saving money for a beat down used car, something like a Fiat or, a Saturn or whatever, just something terrible.
Sure.
And they weren't really getting any richer. They weren't necessarily happy. They weren't free.
Yeah.
They were still a slave to the system. If their superior called on a Friday night, they had to pack their stuff and go to the base. So I didn't like that. And around the same time, I got exposed to the movie The Secret, which made me really excited about thinking positive and becoming more successful. And then I got onto the self-help journey, the journey of kind of discovering there's a whole world of success is about habits, mindset, and behavior, and not about being born rich. And so one of these books and one of these mentors that I got exposed to was Robert Kiyosaki through his books.
Oh.
And I read Rich Dad Poor Dad. And that sort of changed everything, because that made me believe that I can actually get rich. So rather than working a job, I could actually get rich. And what was shocking to me is that the book spoke about how to be rich, you don't have to get good grades. Like, you can't be like, usually A students don't really get rich. A students work for the government and B students work for C students. Right. So it was like, money is not about, getting good grades in school. And today, having my own kids, I realize how true that is, and how much the school system, I think, is just broken, and how it breeds compliance and inside the box thinking, kind of drone-like army of people just to put in the system. But it doesn't really help you become a better human, or get rich, or improve yourself, or otherwise even find yourself. A lot of people in that system just are lost. So it set me on a path to ask the question, how can I get rich? Which led me eventually to becoming who I am today. And today it's pretty much all about lifestyle and freedom first, while not having to sacrifice the money. For example, I just spent the weekend in Montreal with my family, where we stayed in a nice hotel. I went to a rock concert by this German group, a rock band called Rammstein, with 43,000 people in the stadium. It was it was packed. Wow. It was crazy. And so that was like a highlight. And then I came back home to Toronto, and the same day we went to see Monday Night Raw, the WWE, World Wrestling Entertainment. Yeah. So, and all the while I was doing that, I had money come in automatically on autopilot, thanks to, building an online business where leverage and automation are the driving forces behind it. And so this is and while of course that's awesome, what's even better is that I probably made more money in those 4 days or 3 days than many of the people that I know made in like a month, because we're talking thousands of dollars a day. So it's a completely different lifestyle to what I was, originally set as a kid.
Yeah. I got a couple of questions for you. The first is, seems to be a pivotal moment for you, certainly, was that shift in your thinking, or in your perspective. I'm curious about that a little bit more. Like, you were told that if you get good grades and you work hard, like, you're going to have a good life and you're going to be happy. What do you think it was that made you stop and question that? Like, what do you think it was that made you look ahead and kind of say, like, I'm not sure this is really heading in the right direction?
For me, it was about, I think it's the exposure to the graduates that came before me from that academy, because the way it worked is you had to complete like a project before you would graduate. And so my project involved creating a sort of a hybrid between, so it's kind of like a small piece of hardware with some software that would go on an F-16 fighter jet and would control, or at least affect in some way, the aiming system for the weapons. So without getting into too much detail, it required me to get up early in the morning, catch 3 different buses, and get to the nearest military base called Hatsarim, where I would actually work in a lab with real professionals on wiring and software and algorithms and stuff like that. So eventually I would have to present this project to a bunch of really smart professors, I guess, and they would qualify me whether I was ready or not to graduate and then enroll in the Israeli Air Force, which was the whole point of actually going to the academy, because it would pave the road to the Air Force, and you were supposedly going to be having this amazing career. I mean, not really becoming a pilot or anything, not, maverick or anything, but just a good solid career with a good paycheck, a company phone and a company car and stuff like that. And so, but that seemed, it didn't seem to work that way, because a lot of the guys who graduated before me, they were poor. They were living a very similar life to the one I was living as a student. They were still catching the bus every morning and, going through the motions. They still had superiors who were annoying them, and they still didn't really get the vacation days and anything. They were just getting paid a bigger salary, really, as the time went by, but still not enough for them to be able to move out. I didn't see them, enjoying themselves, or I didn't see them have any freedom or even meaning. I mean, many of them were doing this because they wanted a stable paycheck, not because they were, so patriotic or anything like that. And I certainly wasn't. I mean, I'll be honest, I wasn't necessarily the most patriotic person, because I was still feeling like I didn't fit in Israel. I still didn't really kind of grasp the mindset. I was still having this sort of like Ukrainian mindset and not the Israeli, because they were very different. I just didn't fit in. And so when I looked at their lives and I looked at how frustrated they were, at some point it hit me that I was actually heading in the same direction. And so as soon as I got exposed to The Secret and other books, I guess one of the things that is predominant in that sort of school of thought is goal setting, right? It really makes you ask the question, what do I really want? And write it down on a piece of paper. And I remember listening to the Personal Power 2 tapes by Tony Robbins.
Okay.
Those were really great.
Yeah.
One of these tapes, and again, I say tapes, but I downloaded them off the internet in an MP3 file, so it's technically a tape when it was originally released. So one of them spoke about goal setting, and Tony tells the story about being on a train that's going to Russia, or in Russia, going from one Russian city to another. And he's got this map, and then he turns the map over, so he's writing down the things he wanted to achieve within the next year. And then he reviews it a year later, and lo and behold, 80% of what he wanted was achieved. And that struck me. It really did. And so I sat down, I wrote down a bunch of things, and I realized there's no way I can accomplish them if I stay where I was. And I started asking the question, how can I break out? How can I, grow rich, if you will, right? And what's most important is, even at the time, I didn't realize that how limiting the paycheck is, like how limiting trading your hours for dollars truly is. Because one time, several years down the line, I was reviewing my results in my online business, right? And I made, I think, something like 13,000 US or 10,000 US in a single month, which was my biggest month at the time. And I realized that month I've made 13 times what my mom made in her full-time job at a factory in our hometown. That was mind-boggling. It blew me away. I was like, what? So
more than a year's salary.
Yeah, exactly. So she was working, she was picking up overtime because she was afraid if she says no to overtime, they're going to fire her for some reason. She was always stressed out about being fired, about work, about this, about that. And she became really miserable over the years. At some point, she was the only breadwinner too, because my dad suffered a kind of near heart attack when we just arrived, and he went into a double bypass. So we actually relied on her paycheck and handouts from her mother, my grandmother, Bella, for the longest time. And so, and then I went on and made 13 times what she was making basically her annual salary in 1 month. And that really, from that point forward, I think I became unemployable. I just even stopped considering the possibility of going back and working for somebody else.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that makes so much sense. And I love hearing, kind of what were some of those trigger points, because, while your story is certainly unique and it's your, it's your own experiences and it's your own story, kind of the theme of what you're saying certainly isn't. And it's a journey that many have to take and have to explore and have to, work through. I think it's really interesting, though, to start with that point of like the dissatisfaction of our present state. Mm-hmm. That's really what causes you to kind of lift your eyes up and start to look around and go, hey, wait, I've been told that this is the way I'm supposed to go, but is it truly the path? So I'd love to dive into just a little bit more about where you are kind of today, and what has your business evolved to, and what are the types of practices that you're engaged in right now that's building and growing revenue for you and your business?
Yeah, well, the funny part is when I got going and I read Kiyosaki's book, I had no business experience. I had no business ideas. I had no funding, and I really had no idea where to start. And so the book recommends to go into MLM when you're in that position, which is exactly what I've done, because he explains the whole levels thing and when you can compound through other people's referrals. And when I first read about it, I was like, sign me up right now. I'm in. And so I went looking for a network marketing company, and I found one. It's called Global Domains International. I think it's still around. What they do is they sell $10 per month websites, memberships, and hosting packages. And then if you refer somebody, you get $1 passed on to you. And so if you've got like 5 levels and each person has 3 people, you can make something like $5,000 or something per month in passive income. And they had these really great testimonials and everything. So I was like, wow, this is totally for me. And so I went into MLM and I completely and totally failed. It was the most difficult time for me. Lots of rejection, lots of embarrassment, lots of frustration. I had no idea what the hell I was doing. I was trying to build social media profiles. I was tweeting out my links. I was hitting up random strangers on Facebook, got into Facebook jail, got out of Facebook jail, got back in jail. I mean, a lot of people were ignoring me. Some people were telling me to F off. I mean, it was just bad. I felt like a turd sometimes, trying to do this.
Right.
And eventually, I actually quit MLM because I just couldn't really figure it out. I couldn't really figure out the whole human potential thing. But I've discovered through MLM, I've discovered affiliate marketing. Now, affiliate marketing in simple form is when you refer somebody to a website and that website is selling some kind of a product. And if the visitor you referred buys the product, you get a commission. And what's really cool is, you can be referring people to websites that do a really great job selling, which you don't have to do yourself. They can either do it through a webinar or a video or just lots and lots of text. These really long form sales letters that you have to scroll through for 15 days, until you get to the buy now button. Yeah. So these work, these still work. And so you send somebody to a page like that and they purchase a product that costs $50, for example, and you can get $25 for that. Right. So a great example was just promoting your summit. You've got a summit coming up as of the moment of us shooting this. And I was sending people to the summit, telling them to sign up. And a lot of them signed up and also upgraded to VIP, for which I received commissions. So I just told people about the free summit and ended up making some money. I mean, and it's all passive, right? It all happened while I was away in Montreal enjoying, the French culture and stuff. So I discovered that industry, and this is where I got my big break, because it was sort of like an MLM where you had to refer people to something, to a product or whatever, but it didn't have that sleazy pyramid, dirty kind of feel to it. People didn't necessarily shut the door in your face, and it didn't require me to go selling face to face or do any kind of cold calling or otherwise. And it was all done through the internet. by posting affiliate links and running ads to affiliate links to basically your own version of the website you were promoting with a special code. So for example, if you've got a website, it's called andrewsgadgets.com, and I got my affiliate link from you, it would look something like andrewsgadgets.com/Igor. Right. So if somebody clicks on my version of that link, anything they buy from your website, I'll be credited with the commission. And that's exactly how I made my first $1,000, my second 1,000, my first 10K, my first million, and so on. And today, I guess to get back to your question in a really long answer, today what I'm focused on is on e-farming that helps me make big money with affiliate marketing. Because what happens is I build and I generate lots and lots of email addresses from the internet into what I call email farms. And then once these email addresses are in my, if you will, digital universe, I use e-automation software to send out emails to these email addresses, to these people who gave me their email addresses. By the way, it's all above board, can spam compliant. They gave me permission to send them emails with offers. Yeah, I send out these automation emails, which often I don't even have to write myself. I just have to copy and paste something that I'm given, and they just click on links and they just buy products, and I make money. And that's how someone like me, who's basically a nobody, can go on to become, a millionaire online. Because the great thing about e-farming is you can build multiple streams of income all at the same time. Because with e-farming, your income isn't tied to your hours, to your hourly input, right? Because if I'm working for somebody, if I got a job, then if I'm working 8 hours today, I'm going to get paid for these 8 hours. But if I'm not showing up tomorrow, no one's going to pay me. But with e-farming, you kind of do the work initially. You're like putting in hours first to build a system. And then the system starts producing income for you even when you're not working, which is extremely powerful, because you really can't get rich at it in a job. I don't think that's ever going to happen because of this limitation, because you're always relying on your own hours, and there's only so many hours in the day, and there's only so much that an employer will pay you. But when you're building systems and let's say you've built 5 different income streams, one is a big income stream and 3 are like, okay, and one of them is small, but still collectively they'll bring together money. And so they'll do it month after month after month. And so if you continue to stack your income streams, right, you continue to grow your income over time. So this way, even if you're not working really hard, your income can actually be growing anyway.
Yeah. So what are some practical places or ways, if someone was interested in affiliate marketing, where could they go to learn more about a process or about the system and how to do that? B, where could they find potential offers and engage? What were some of the first steps that you would recommend?
So I feel like it's a good opportunity to plug my book. Is that okay?
Sure. Of course it is. Yeah. I was trying to set that up for you.
Oh, thank you. That was, bam, home run. So, I highly recommend picking up my book. It's called The List Building Lifestyle Confessions of an Email Millionaire. And you can get a free copy. I'll send you a free copy if you go to igorsbook.com. So what you do, you'll just tell me where to ship it. You'll chip in on shipping and handling, and I'll send you a free copy. But if you want me to send you a free coffee too, I'll happy to do that when you get the book. I'll also give you a free Audible version narrated by a professional voiceover artist. I'll give you a free PDF version so you can start reading before it arrives to your doorstep. And I'll give you $3,000 worth of free bonuses, including a course on how to produce your first email generating page, as well as additional training on traffic generation and more. So it's a complete package. Easy. So highly recommend you pick it up at igorsbook.com. Now, the other place where you can start with affiliate marketing is I guess I want to say first that you want to start it in the right way, because a big mistake that people make with affiliate marketing, they get into it without building their email list. Yeah. And that's, I think, is a big mistake, because it's really hard to generate visitors or traffic these days although there's many different options, but it's really hard to generate quality visitors that will buy something from you because of all the noise. Because, I mean, the market is full of solutions these days. Everybody's an influencer and yada, yada, yada. So what you want to do is you want to focus all of your efforts to building your e-farm first. Because once people get into your e-farm, once they're on your email list, they will like you and trust you much more than they will some random person on Facebook or TikTok, whatever.
Yeah.
And so this gives you a huge advantage, because when you will email an offer to them, you will see your conversions, or your average rate with which you refer sales. It will go up tremendously. So the first thing I would recommend is for you to look into the concept called e-farming, or it's also known as list building. Okay, and that's a bit hard to explain in a single podcast episode, but I'll do my best to give you the breakdown. So first thing you need is what we call a capture page. So a capture page is a really simple one-page website that allows you to capture somebody's email address in exchange for either a lead magnet, meaning you'll give them something for free, some kind of free value, and they'll give you their email address to get it, or even just to unlock access to an offer. Now, these are some advanced concepts, so if you guys listening to this and you've never done this before, don't feel embarrassed or confused yet, right? What you want to do is you still want to grab the book that I said at igorsbook.com, because it goes into more detail about it. It'll make a lot more sense. But I guess the first thing you should know is you do need a one-page website that captures people's email addresses into your email database. Now, for that,
would you sort of correlate that, take that e-farming illustration a little bit? So maybe every farmer has a barn, right? So you've got to kind of start with a place where you're gonna put your animals, or your equipment or something like that, right? So it's like you've got to have some place that all your activity is centered out of, and I think that's what you're describing as this sort of capture page.
Yeah. So the capture page it's almost like a door into that place. Let's call it a barn, like you said. Yeah. So your actual email barn, or your farm, is inside a piece of software, which is called an email autoresponder, or it's also known as a CRM, customer management something. Basically, what it does, anytime somebody decides to give you their email address, it holds their records in the software. And here's the cool part about e-farming, my favorite part by far. So whether you have an e-farm of 10 people, 100 people, or 1,000 people, this e-farming software, or an email autoresponder software, what it does, it allows you to email everybody using a push of a button. Because when I tell people I've got e-farms the size of hundreds of thousands, they think I've literally got like an army of assistants sitting down in a sweatshop and copy and pasting these emails and sending them out by hand to hundreds of thousands of people. Well, no, we don't actually need that anymore. I'm just kidding. I never had a sweatshop. We don't need that, because we've got a piece of software that will do everything for us in a very easy and fast way. So whether I've got an email farm of 10 email addresses, or 100 or 1,000 or even 1,000,000, all I have to do is just copy and paste this email one time into the software and then hit send. And what it does, it automatically sends it to 10 or 100 or 1,000 people. And so for you as the e-farmer, this is the cool part, because you don't need to work harder even if your e-farm is bigger. So if we bring this back to farming, like let's say you've got a chicken coop, and if you've got 10 chickens versus you've got 1,000 of them, right? So it's going to make a big difference for you, because 10 chickens, you can keep them in a smaller coop. It's going to be real quick for you to come in the morning to grab the eggs and feed them, and you only need so much food, etc. With a chicken coop that's 1,000 chickens big, imagine cleaning it, feeding all of them, collecting all the eggs will only probably take you a full day. You need to bring some people to help you out. You need a bigger coop, etc. With email farms,
Right.
none of that is needed. None of that, because the process of managing and making money with an e-farm of 100 email addresses and an e-farm of 10,000 email addresses is exactly the same. It takes the exact amount of time. It takes the exact amount of effort. And so when you think about it, it just makes sense to have a bigger e-farm, because all you do is just hit that button, hit the send button, and you just end up making a lot more money with the same exact amount of time. In fact, if I remember it correctly, so the system has an e-farm or an email database of over 100,000 people, probably more than that.
Right. Yeah, more than that.
And so when you guys drop an email and invite people to the summit, or tell people about any kind of special offer, I mean, whoever's loading that email, right, is just copy, paste, send, and everybody gets notified. That's the beauty of e-farming these days. It's the technology that allows us to have tremendous leverage and basically, work smart and not hard.
Yeah. And, I felt like I set you up there. And so you have also just set me up in the sense that, of course, System.io is a free platform with all the tools that Igor has just described, offering the ability to be able to get started, to start building your e-farm, to start growing your list, gives you the opportunity to add those capture pages in one click, capture the emails, get them into a place where you can now start to use them and start to drive affiliate offers. So I think that's it's a really great marriage of concepts and ideas and teaching there. Igor, where would someone go if they were just starting out to find good offers, and how do they also avoid the scam kind of spammy offers that seem to also lurk around the affiliate space?
Yeah, affiliate space. It's gotten bigger over the years. I think since the start of the pandemic, I've seen it at least double in size because I guess thanks largely to people like me who write books on the subject, have podcasts, and offer courses and education about what affiliate marketing is. You've seen the rise of it because, I do a lot of advertising and I get trend reports, and the trends are up. So the affiliate industry is growing. In fact, just to give you some statistics, 8 out of every 10 purchases online are actually affiliate referrals, which means chances are out of the last 10 things you've bought online, somebody got paid for the last 8 things out of those 10.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. And that's amazing.
Yeah. That's pretty insane. So a lot of commerce on the internet is happening through affiliate marketing. Now, the other thing that's actually exciting for e-farmers like me is that I think almost all purchases online, or almost all transactions, they have something to do with email as well. So affiliate marketing is powerful in its own, even if you do it without email. But you marry the two concepts, and that's even more powerful. So some of the biggest affiliates I know who can make hundreds of thousands of dollars by just sending a single email, they build these giant email databases, and they really measure their success by the average dollar value that each email address on their e-farm is worth to them. Now, this can vary for different people, and then this can vary. For some, it's 50 cents per email that is per month. For some, it's $1. For some, it's $3. But for me, for example, these days, and this is data for the last 6 months, each email on my email database is actually worth about $27 to me per month. Per month.
Wow, so, really?
Yeah, if I take my monthly income and I divide it by the number of email addresses in my e-farm, that's the number I get. And so what's interesting is that it allows me to not really worry about spending money on acquiring an email address, because I know that if not this month or next month, the month after that, it's going to pay for itself and continue producing dividends. Because as an e-farmer, you really are kind of growing this tree, that continues to give you fruit,
Right.
right? Because the apple tree, it gives you apples every year. You just take good care of it and just continues to give you apples. So an e-farm is the same. So to answer your question, where can one go to get some good offers to promote? So today it's easier than before to get them because there's more affiliate networks than ever before. When I started out, there maybe was just one called ClickBank. But today, today there's quite a few that come to mind. There's quite literally dozens of them. Some I would qualify as affiliate networks. Others I would qualify as CPA networks. So let's unpack this. So affiliate network is when you can go into this, I guess, database or marketplace, and you can get approved to promote offers strictly on a per sale commission basis. So there's like somebody selling a piece of software, piece of productivity software, and it costs $79 a month. Then that vendor, that creator of the software can say, okay, for every referral, I'll give you $39 per month commission. So you refer somebody one time and you get paid monthly commission for as long as they continue to subscribe. Now, the CPA network, CPA stands for cost per action. And they can pay you for things that are sales, but also for things that are not. And they can pay you set amounts regardless of the purchase price. For example, and this is a very popular concept in the supplement space. So, these like magical herbs, and like if you've got trouble sleeping or we're not talking about penis pills or anything. We're talking about like a pill that you take to improve your memory, or a pill that you take to get rid of inflammation in your body, things like that. It's a big market. It's a ridiculously big market. And a lot of times what happens is, let's say they sell a pack of 3 supplement bottles for, I don't know, $59. So if you get on a CPA network, like, I don't know, Max Bounty or sellhealth.com or something. I mean, there's really so many of them that I can't even name many. You can just Google. You can just get online and type in top CPA networks, or you can type in top CPA networks for, and then niche, like health or a business or investing or crypto or anything else. Like if there's a niche or a hobby or an interest, there's probably a CPA network for that. And so let's say they sell this, the vendor sells a pack of 3 bottles for $59. So a CPA network can have a special affiliate program that says you refer a customer who purchases 3 bottles at $59, but we will pay you $80 as a payout. Now, this doesn't make sense at first, right? Because like the customer pays $59, affiliate gets $80. Why is that? Well, it's quite simple. Because generating a customer is the single most expensive thing a supplement company can do. That's really where all their effort goes. Once they've established the production line for their supplement, that's going to be set for years. From that point forward, 90% of the budget goes into getting a customer. And so for them, they know that if they get a customer that purchases this bottle, there's like a 70% chance that customer continues to subscribe to their service and get more bottles every month for the next, let's say, 24 months, which means in reality, every customer is worth a lot of money to them. So they say, okay, why don't we incentivize people to refer customers to us? We'll pay them one time $80, which is a very lucrative payout, but then we will make money 3, 4, 5 months down the road. And that's exactly what they do. So for you as an affiliate, that's awesome. You get $80 up front, CPA. That means like no matter what, okay? But for them, it's also a win for the vendor because they now got a customer and they have a system in place to keep that customer coming for more product. So to sum up, you've got affiliate networks and you've got CPA networks. And what you can do, you can get online, get on Google and type in top affiliate networks. And then you can do another search for top CPA networks and you'll have a full list of just a bunch of them. Some affiliate networks you can start with are ClickBank, DigiStore. I like this one. I actually moved my offers to this network as a vendor recently. I really like that. You can also go and check out networks that are a bit smaller, but they have their own unique kind of product, such as jvzoo.com, warriorplus.com. There is, I think, Commission Junction as well, and many, many others.
Yes.
So again, it's just a Google search away. Take the time tonight, run a search and see what you find.
Yeah. And this has been really, really helpful, and really you're very gifted in the way that you're able to articulate some of these more complex ideas. And our audience and myself have gained a ton of value just from our kind of short time together. I agree with what you said at the beginning, where we could sit and probably talk about digital marketing and this stuff for, several hours. Unfortunately, podcasts don't last that long. But I just want to really say thank you. Really appreciate it. Would you mind articulating for us again just where our listeners could find you? Give again the URL for your book, and just ways that they may be able to follow you or engage with you.
Yeah, and thank you for this opportunity. Truly, I would love to, do another episode. And I always enjoy talking, marketing and internet and freedom and self-help, and it's just a passion of mine.
Definitely.
There are two ways to engage with me that I would recommend if you're brand new to the world of affiliate marketing, to the world of e-farming. One is you should definitely get the book. Whether you're a reader or not, I promise you, it's just, you're going to read it in one sitting. And the book is located at igorsbook.com, or if you prefer, you can go on Amazon and get it on Amazon. But if you go to igorsbook.com, I'll also include a $3,000 bonus package. And I promise I'll make it worth your while. There's going to be a lot of stuff there that you'll find useful, including some of my best email marketing templates, as well as capture pages and stuff like that. I know these terms might not mean much to you at this point, but you want to have them if you're going to get involved with e-farming. Now, the other way to engage with me is I'm always excited to share my podcast at listbuildinglifestyleshow.com, or you can just search for List Building Lifestyle Show on any podcast software like Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Stitcher, whatever your preference is. Listbuildinglifestyleshow.com, where I also bring out other list builders, other e-farmers, people who are making money with e-farming as we speak. And it's a really cool way to get that dose of motivation, as well as get exposed to the world and realize, just see for yourself, not only how much money there is in it, but how different your life can be once you crack that code, once you really get into that industry, get your foot in the door. Because list builders, they're lazy by nature, in my opinion. Because how Bill Gates, I think he said, I'm going to give the task to a lazy person because they're going to find the easiest and the fastest way to do it or something. Well, many e-farmers are kind of like that. They're looking for the automation, for the system, for the lazy way to do something because they hate working. But they're passionate about what they do. It's just they hate working, and they hate repetitive, mind-numbing work, which is what I really hated when I had a job. It's that stuff. It's the repetitiveness. It's the stupidity of moving something from here to here. And I had this job. I worked one time. I worked in a laundry room. I just put towels in the machine, took towels out the machine, put them in dryer, take out from the dryer, put them on the table, start folding them, then do the same thing with the sheets and the same thing with the whatever. And I was dying, man. It was just killing me, killing my soul. There was no engagement. There was no growth. It wasn't. So if you guys ever feel like that, and if you're listening to this podcast, I know you do, you should really look into e-farming, because even if you don't plan to do this as your primary means of living, you can still build a pretty nice side income, even while you hold on to a day job. Like if you do like your day job. Many of my students actually do like their day jobs. They've invested a lot to build their careers and stuff. Some of them own offline businesses, but the e-farming is just too good to pass,
Yeah, that's awesome. No, that's awesome, man. We really, really appreciate it. And I assure you, I'm going to take you up on the offer of having you come back on and do some other episodes with us. I know there's a number of other topics and ideas that we can discuss. I think that would be of great value. So really looking forward to that. But Igor, really, again, I just want to say thank you so much for your time today. We're a great guest, and look forward to having you back on again.
Thanks, man. I truly appreciate it. Anytime.